Okay, so I guess we're live right now. If you can see me, okay, fantastic. Live on LinkedIn. And Pamela is here. Hi, people. If you can see me, let me know if you can see me live right now. Okay. Pamela, are you ready? Okay. Hi. Hi, Pamela.
Hi. I'm doing this from my car. I'm in transit. It's a long story.
Yeah, I know. That's the Toronto life.
It's a long story. with some unexpected a hailstorm in between.
Wow. Wow. uh, well, you're here now, so good to have you here. So, everyone joining us, thank you. I see comments from Ayo, Erica. Actually, I can't see the other person that commented, but happy you can see us and hear us. So, we're going to be talking about, the immigrant journey. And my guest today is Pamela. So Pamela is based here in Canada. She moved from Nigeria to Canada, so she's an immigrant to Canada. We're going to be talking about, her journey so far over the last 2 years. So let's get started. So, tell us a bit about yourself. If you tell us, who's Pamela? Who is Pamela?
Great question. So Pamela keeps evolving, but I'll just give you the most recent version of myself. So my name is Pamela Anoliefo, and I moved to Canada 2 years ago. My experience has been in the financial services industry, specifically in the cards and payments space. So all anything to do with payments, credit cards, and debit cards. I've been there, done that. I'm still doing it. I have a bachelor's degree in computer engineering and a master's degree in innovation and entrepreneurship from Queen's University. Currently, I am a project manager. I work with People's Group. So People's Group is a boutique financial service company that does all the fun payment stuff for all the most innovative companies out there. I work as a payments project manager, and I really enjoy my job. A little bit more personal. I'm a mom to three kids, wife, and also a serial entrepreneur.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, wife, mom, project manager, entrepreneur, as well, wearing so many hats, so many hats. So let's talk about the. If you have questions for Pamela, please feel free to put in your questions. Happy to talk about your questions and answer your questions. So let's talk about your immigrant journey. Let's talk about your immigrant journey. What really was your why? Why did you decide to, make this move and move to Canada, with your family to continue your career in payments?
Oh, great question. So, I think every time at some point in time in your life, like I'm someone, I always do some form of self-assessment, right? And I think at the point in time where I was in my career and in my life, right, I wanted to do something different. So I called it an adventure. I'd been basically done the same thing, like go to school, did everything my parents said. And so I was like, there has to be more to this life. Like I want to really discover, and I'm someone
Yeah.
that I like to evolve, right? And
Mm.
so uh, I kind of stumbled on Canada just really very randomly. Like I wasn't looking to leave the country. I was
Yeah.
just chatting, and I said, hey, people are immigrating to Canada. I was like, okay, what's going on there, right? And I just did my research. And I said, okay, and that was just me. Like one day there was no Canada in my life, and the next night I did my research, and I was like, okay, um, it's time for me to make a change, and I went through the process, and here I am 2 years after.
Right. Fantastic. So, what has been what has been your experience so far? How would you describe your experience so far in the last 2 years?
Yeah, great question. So, I'll kind of backtrack and talk about like before I landed, right? Like, so when I was coming
Mm,
to Canada, like, I didn't think it was going to be a walk in the park. Like, what I told my friends was, this is not a vacation. I'm not going to spend money and then come back to Nigeria in 2 or 3 weeks. This is going to be my life, right? So I was going into it with the awareness that even though I had a great career back home, there was a potential that I might not get that career, or I had to start from the bottom to kind of build that credibility that I already got. So what I did really was like I would do with anything I planned, and I said if I wanted to get into the roles I believe I should get based on my experience, what are the things I need to do, right? And so I started to do a bit of networking. And at the start, when I heard about networking, it was daunting. I was like, "Ah, what's that? Like, like I don't want to do this." But I realized like if you want to change, you have to change some of the things you do. And so I had to do a lot of networking. I was up at odd hours of the night because I was networking with people in Canada, and they were 6 hours behind at that point in time. So it was challenging for me in terms of my time. I had to
mm,
do like lots of resume reviews. I had to do my certification. I had to have conversations where people were asking me a lot of questions about my career, my background. So it was really, really daunting for me. But I think for me, what I enjoyed about the process was that it allowed me to know the kind of like the length and breadth of how how the length I could go to get what I
mm.
really wanted. So it
One
was
thing.
challenging in terms of getting myself prepared for coming to Canada and getting the job I wanted. But for me, at the end of the day, I think what emerged for me was a much stronger, more empowered um, version of myself.
Fantastic. I will get to learning more about the empowerment part of things. So let's start with the fact that you've been a career woman, right? And you've always worked. So before you moved here, you were a business analyst, and then you got here and you were a business analyst as well. So let's talk about that transition from Nigeria to Canada. What were some things that you had to change, some things you had to embody, some things you had to drop, some things you had to learn? What was the learning curve for you, moving to Canada and getting that job as a business analyst?
Yeah, because I will see some questions or some comments like, why do you speak from BA to project manager? I'll get to that. So, I think so specifically for me, if I want to really laser focus it specifically for me as a BA, right? Before moving to Canada, like we had agile, we knew what agile and waterfall were, but like they were not like practices that we embodied, like right, like in terms of like everybody being aware that you're doing an agile project. We were just doing projects, but we had elements of um,
Mm,
those methodologies already, right? And so
yeah.
for me, it had to be more about speaking, using the correct keywords, like actually embodying it and actually thinking about processes in that way. Like this is how we do it in waterfall, this is how we do it in agile. I'm really speaking to that and not just saying, oh, this is how I've done projects, but how did I had to try to transfer my experience from Nigeria and make it more relatable in the
Mm,
Canadian market.
yeah.
I had done a lot of projects, right? But I realized like on my previous resume, my resume, I call it my vanilla resume. Like, and like when I say vanilla, not because vanilla is boring, but like in the spectrum of ice cream, like vanilla is
Yeah.
boring, right? So I had to make my resume flavored ice cream, like chocolate,
Mm.
pistachio, like like really make embellish it. So
Lots of
on my
toppings.
previous resume, yeah, all the toppings, like sprinkles, like calories, like what. So so basically was projects I had done over the years were in my mind, right? They were not anywhere on my resume. And so
Right.
I had to go through that process where I did soul search, remembered my projects, and presented them really clearly on my
Mm.
resume to speak to the experience I wanted, right? The other thing was to show my competence in business analysis. I had to write the CBAP exam, which was for me was an experience because at that time in Nigeria, it wasn't being written in Nigeria. I had to fly to Ghana alone, a woman alone. I arrived in Ghana by 12 midnight. I won't forget. I took a
I had
taxi
the same
alone.
experience.
Yeah, I took a taxi alone in the dead of the night to my hotel room. And I asked myself at that point in time, did I spend all this money to come here and something happens to me? What would I say? I'm going to Canada. I'm trying to get a certification so I get a good job. I was really trying, very scared. But I think at the end of the day, for me, it was an experience. But I'm glad that everything, you know, paid off and is
Yeah.
still paying off. So like it's really about, for I think for me was expressing, translating my experience better in a way that was more relatable. Um,
Yeah.
to the Canadian market, and then being very confident that my previous experience mattered and
Mhm.
had a place in any organization here in this country.
Fantastic, fantastic. That confidence that your past experience is still valuable, and then knowing how to relate it to what is applicable here in Canada. So you had worked in Nigeria for years, but you were able to relate to what you've done and be confident that your experience is, is valid, and you're not going to come and start as an entry level or start, from a junior role after working for over 10 years just because you moved countries.
Yep,
Fantastic.
exactly.
Fantastic. So did getting your did and I get you because I also did the same, going to Ghana or by myself. The flights, the all the expenses
Yeah,
involved in just going to get one certification, which was your CBAP certification. But you realize that, if I wanted to make this move, I wanted to have things that would validate my experience and my knowledge. So was this helpful for you?
yeah. So are you speaking specifically to CBAP, right?
Yeah, the
The
CBAP
CBAP.
and other certifications that I know you must have done as well.
Yeah. So this kind of brings me to, like, I've always been like very forward thinking in terms of my certifications, right? Like even
Yeah.
before I knew I was moving, even before years before I had an idea of what I was going to be doing with myself, I had been, taking certifications like ITIL. I did ITIL probably what 6 years ago.
Mm,
I got a certification in payments that
yes.
that is very like is a rigorous 3-level exam. I did that while heavily pregnant. I got distinction. So I've always pushed myself. And I remember my dad said to me one day, "You're taking all these certifications. Has it translated to increased salary for you? Like, are you going to get a pay raise? Are you going to get promoted?"
Mm,
I said, "No, I'm not,
mm,
but I just believe like I need to keep improving myself because when the opportunity comes, then I'm going to be ready to take it because I won't be
exactly.
saying, 'Hey, I don't think I'm going to take this job,' and and so I shouldn't do it." So I was like, I know that when the opportunity comes, I will show that I have what it takes, right? So
Yeah.
CBAP definitely helped open doors for me because I was interviewing before I came to Canada, and I was supposed to come to. I moved up my trip to Canada 2 months earlier because I got an opportunity with TD Bank,
Mm,
and I had to arrive in a short time because it wasn't easy for me. Like I was networking from Nigeria, and I got noticed by one of Canada's top recruiter of 2019, and she said, "You know
mm,
what? I want you to work with us. Could you come for a program?" And I had to move it up, and I believe that that was because they looked at my resume. I had the right qualifications. I had the right
yeah.
number of experience, and definitely the certification helped to solidify. that. And so it's really helpful. But again, like I say, certification on their own are not a standalone. You have to back it
Yeah,
up with some experience, and then also being able to express that your experience. Like if you have a conversation with somebody,
yeah.
sell yourself, because the resume just gets you a foot into the door, but then the person you are is what does the rest.
Exactly. Fantastic. Totally agree. So once your resume gets you in there, you make sure you have experiences you can speak about, the projects you can speak about, and also that you understand the culture of the organization. All these things help you in addition to all the certifications and the knowledge and the courses, whatever you've taken. So, you got in here, got a role as a business analyst and then moved into project management. So why that move? So Femi had asked, said, why did you switch from BA to project manager?
Hi, Femi. Femi, my friend from Nigeria. So good question. Like I'll just say something about the roles I've done till date. All the roles I've done till date have been roles I really did not actively apply for.
Mm,
They're not like roles I did actively apply for them. Like you get so the TD role was a senior BA role. I kind of went through a program that TD did, empowering women, and from there I interviewed for a few roles and I got this one, the BA role. It was in cards. I did a project for Amazon, and that was because I had experience in credit cards, right?
yeah,
So for me, the project manager role, I wasn't looking for a project manager role. Seriously, I was. Someone reached out to me on LinkedIn. It was a recruiter. They liked my experience, and the company I work with right now was looking for a project manager with experience with payment and also understood business analysis. Because,
fantastic.
like, yeah, for smaller companies, right? Like on like big banks, like the big five banks, like TD, that can afford to have BAs, senior
Mm,
BAs, business analyst specialists. They have like a very robust structure, right?
yeah,
Smaller companies don't have that much human resources, so they tend to wear like a lot of hats. So
yes,
they
yeah,
wanted people who could be project managers with BA experience because it's kind of like it was a hybrid type of
yeah,
role. And
yeah.
so I interviewed for the role. And I got it, and I moved because for me I'm always trying to grow, right? And for me, like being a project manager is the next level. As a BA, my role is really more laser focused on the requirements, but as a
Mm,
project manager it's more of a leadership role, more of a role that influences, makes decisions, so it gives me more opportunity to become a well-rounded individual, and as well look towards like leadership positions that I definitely want to
mm.
take in the future.
Fantastic. Now, speaking about leadership, you went in for a master's shortly after you arrived Canada. So, had that always been part of your plans? I know you're someone who like plans everything. Was that part of a plan or just something that you found was necessary for you to get into leadership positions that you're looking out for? I've had a lot of people ask these questions that, oh, should I go and get a master's degree, for me to be able to, blend into the workplace here, blend into the workplace culture, or, get back into my role? Do I need to get a master's degree? And I don't agree. So a lot of people may have thought maybe because Pamela got a master's, that's why she was able to get this role as a project manager or whatever. So tell us more about, that venture.
Great. So I got the project. I actually started as a project manager before I did my master's.
Yeah.
And what I want to tell people about the master's is I have wanted to get the master's for the longest time, but like situations around me didn't allow me to get my master's, specifically having kids and also being focused on my career and a number of businesses, right? So I got this admission to Queen's before I moved to Canada as well. Like I got the admission before I moved to Canada, but moving to Canada, it was too much. Um, it was too many changes. So I called the school and said, I can't do this master's at this time. I just moved and there's a lot going on in my life, right? I would like to defer this for next year when I'm a bit more settled and I can do it. And so, like you said, I always plan. Like I'm so plan focused. Like I need to even start to stop planning anything. Um,
Mm.
I wanted to get a master. I wanted to get a master's degree, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't. And I tell people this: it wasn't really for furthering my career in Canada. And I'll say that with just a pinch of salt because it could and it could not. It was
Yeah.
for me, it was trying to get a master's. I wanted to do in a great school and I wanted something that was really near and dear to my heart, which was innovation and entrepreneurship. So it ticked all the boxes for me, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I went to school, but I'll tell you that some of the outcomes of going to school was it definitely opened more doors for me in terms of networking, in terms
Mm.
of my reach, and my social currency. It helps, right? Because
Fantastic.
I have that degree. It's Queen's University, Smith School of Business. It definitely allows people to see in a different light because of the great education that you get there. But two things I always tell people who ask me questions about should I get a master's, I always say you need to figure out your why. My why was totally different. My why
Yeah.
wasn't career growth. My why was it was time to get a master's. Two, I wanted to do a master's that was going to help me to launch my businesses because I did come into this country wanting to launch a business from the start. And so that was why I did the master's. And then the byproduct of it was helping me in my career
Yeah.
and any other things that come. So that's why it's all different. It really depends on what the person is trying to achieve. Because there are people who have done the masters who don't have the jobs that they want, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to be open to whatever outcomes that come out of it. If you go through the process and you
Yeah.
apply yourself, the reason why I'm doing my masters is so that I can land some of the jobs I want, open more doors for me socially. That's great, but you have to ensure that while you're in that program, you're really focused on that goal and that outcome so that you get it
Exactly.
at the end of the day.
Exactly. Fantastic. I like that, you talked about the fact that, the masters is not what actually got you a job, right? It was just for you, it was just time, something you'd always wanted to do. And it was just time, and you had already gotten the admission anyway. So you took advantage of that. And also, I love the fact that you said, the master's degree definitely got you access to open some doors for you, your networking, your social currency, which is something that a lot of people don't understand that a lot of all these things it may not get you a job, or it may not even take you out in the trajectory you're looking out for. It may have even opened more doors for you in regards to entrepreneurship, more entrepreneurship than career. And we're going to be talking about your entrepreneurship journey, in a bit. But I'd like to, backtrack to something you said about, get an opportunity through LinkedIn. And this is something that you've networked a lot with LinkedIn even before you arrived. So what would you advise a lot of people who are moving, who are not using LinkedIn or maximizing LinkedIn to actually network and get to prepare for the arrival, prepare the way, which is something that you did. You applied for your masters, you got that, you started networking, and you got admitted into the program by TD, and that got you your first business analyst job. How has networking with LinkedIn helped you so far in achieving the success you have in your career?
Yeah, like if even now I realize like when someone reaches out to me or I'm trying to find out something about a person, even on projects that I work on right now, I kind of when I'm like, hey, do we know who this person is in that company? I actually go to LinkedIn because that's like the place I can get some information without calling someone and saying, hey, can you tell me a bit more about this project manager that I'm on the project with? Do you know that kind of
Yeah.
thing? So that says a lot about LinkedIn. And then when I go and tell my team, like, oh, I went to her LinkedIn and this is her experience, and like, oh, good job, Pam. That tells you that your LinkedIn is important. And I
Yeah.
will say something, you need to have a brand. It needs to be authentic. It can't be like anybody else's own, right?
Yeah.
And so, how do you want people to perceive you
Mm.
on social media?
Yeah.
LinkedIn specifically. It starts from your picture, your headshot on your LinkedIn. It starts from your headline. What do people
Mm.
see? It starts from even the activities that people do. Like right now, someone can click on activities and see what what you're engaged in. Like they can tell
Yeah.
the kind of person you are outside, right? So
Yeah.
those are things to keep in mind. If you want a job and you know that that job requires a lot of skill, a lot of visibility, and it's like, you know, those jobs that are kind of taking you to the C-level suite, right? You need to sit down and do a course on LinkedIn. Like there are free courses. I did one with Access Employment that I volunteered with Access Employment as an alumni ambassador, and so
Yeah.
I took a lot of courses with them and I took notes. And what I did was over time, I was tweaking my LinkedIn. I would look at, and again, what I did was I looked at people's LinkedIn profiles that I liked, not to copy their profile, but to kind of get an understanding of, hey,
Finding.
if it's a successful person and I like what their LinkedIn profile looks like, how can I make my own look like that? Not copy, right? But
Yeah.
as a
Exactly.
basis of saying,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I've done, I think my LinkedIn looks well. I think it's explaining, is presenting my experience well. One of the good things you could do is also recommendations. Like if you work with people over time, people that you
Yeah.
know that you had a good relationship with, and you know you did a good job with them, ask them for recommendations, because this is something that also shows um how the kind of person you are. And then again, I find that if, for example, your recommendations seem to be the same from the same people, then it can't be lying. So if you're saying, hey, Eno is so energetic, she
Yeah.
does things to quality, and is 10 people saying the same thing in different ways, right? Like obviously
Yeah.
they use different tenses and things like that, then they can't lie. And these are what organizations look out for, recruiters look
Yeah.
out for, or even potential partners, because LinkedIn is not also only for just your career and job. There could be people who are looking for potential partners for
Yeah.
initiatives they're doing.
True.
So your picture is important, your headline is important, expressing your career timeline accurately and as much as possible, avoiding any typos.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you
Have,
so much.
yeah, and just one more thing, like have
Yeah.
someone that you trust to
Mm.
review it and give you feedback, and then be open to the feedback and not think of the feedback as against you yourself, but thinking of it
Yeah.
as this is how the world will see me. So I'll take that feedback, and if I feel like it's if it really makes sense and it's from a great place, then use that feedback and improve.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Pamela. I hope, whoever is listening or people who get to listen to this, are taking notes, because these are the things that you've implemented and are evident, in the success that you've gotten. So let's talk about, your um what's the word now? Your entrepreneurship journey, your moving from being a mom and a career woman into starting your own company, right? And I know it's not easy, because I know the challenges of starting up your own business here in Canada as an immigrant, with with little or no access to funding and all that. So let's talk about the journey to entrepreneurship. So give us the insight there, the juice.
Yeah. So when I'm not doing what I do as a BA or project manager or a payments professional, I'm always moonlighting as a serial entrepreneur all the time, even from Nigeria. And so because it gives me the some sort of independence, right? And so moving to Canada, I said, hi, I've never done this ever, like just done a job. And so it was going to be for me uh, strange, right? And the great thing was I was doing a master's that encouraged entrepreneurship. So
Mm,
I went to that program. I wasn't like the outcome again wasn't like I would launch a business at the end of the program. I was kind of hoping that if I launch a business, fine. If I didn't launch a business, but at least I learned some things, and maybe hopefully I'll launch a business sometime soon. And so I went into that project really open mind into the program really open minded, and just really looking forward to the experience and
mm,
networking and the new connections I'll make.
yeah.
And yeah, lo and behold, I went in there and I had a conversation with my friend. He said, once you're thinking of solving a problem, you're going to solve a problem. And I
Mm,
thought it was a joke. So I went into the program, said, okay, let's see how it works, right? And then that's how while you're in that space, you're surrounded by so many innovative people. Like in my
Yeah.
program, there are so many innovative people that have their own businesses. Our program is run already by people who have success in business, have core entrepreneurs. So when you're in that creative space,
Please.
there
Yeah.
it's really hard for you to come out of that program without something.
Mm,
And so I went in there, and it was just me, epiphany moment. I came up with my business idea. I said, okay, I'll go pitch it. I hope they get it. And so I'll just take a few moments to explain my business idea. It might not appeal to everybody, but it's a real problem that affects women around the world. So it's a global problem. A lot of
mm,
women deal with hair loss. One, a lot of women who don't deal with hair loss like to wear alternative hair or hair extensions as we know them, right? And
mm,
so what I asked myself was, I was dealing with a problem in that space. I had too many of the products because as a busy mom, I don't like to stay in the salon because I have 3 kids. And so I have wigs. And then I realized I wasn't using 20% of my wigs. So if I had 30, I was using five. And so what
yeah.
happens to all these expensive things in my closet? And I started thinking about there must be a better way to deal with the products I don't use. And so what I did was, what do other industries that have unused products do? So,
Do.
like the
Yeah.
car industry, I'm tired of my car. What do? I resell it. My device still works, but I want to get the latest one. I resell it. I have a ton of clothes that are out of season. I don't like them anymore. I resell it or I take it to the thrift store.
Yeah.
But the hair extension industry didn't have anything like that, and women didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know, and so I
Mm,
started having these conversations, doing surveys, and from there I found out that this was a real problem, and for me it was a sustainable problem. Like, how do we deal with waste? If we're thinking about the UN um, SDG goals of sustainable consumption and
mm,
production, how do we solve a problem in the beauty industry if we're using up resources to produce this thing and people are leaving it in their closet? So that was really for me how I said, okay, there has to be a market for reselling beauty products,
right.
and that was how the idea was born. And I've pitched it to investors. They seem to like it, even though I really wouldn't be going for funding because I feel it's a business I can scale right now without giving
Mm,
equity away. So, that's the journey I'm on. And I'm just really open to, this might not be the final product or the final solution, but it's definitely something that has been growing. And I'm really
yeah.
open to where it evolves to.
Fantastic. Wow. That's a very authentic, and it's not like copying something that already exists, because there's really nothing like that anywhere.
Very
So yeah, so you actually did your homework with actually finding a real problem that actual people face. Do you find that your experience and your skills as someone who's been in business, been a business analyst for a while, helped you with getting started with um understanding the business problem, understanding the problem, and setting up your business as well? Has that helped you?
Definitely. So even as a project manager too, like, so it helped me in terms of like creating an implementation plan, and
Yeah.
just not just an implementation plan, a plan that makes sense in terms of these are the tasks that have to start first before we get to this point. And it definitely helped me in terms of understanding the problem, understanding how to do the market research, right? And
Right.
even to the extent that I had a full backlog, it's not no kidding. I had a full backlog created for myself for what my website looked like. So
Yeah.
I sat down and wrote my user stories
Yeah.
myself, even though I reached out to volunteers to help. But by the time I got all the volunteers, really the user stories were done. So it actually turned out to be more me mentoring and teaching people how to do requirements, because
Yeah.
I was already like, because I'll sit back and watch them, and then when they're done with the requirements, I just say, "Are you sure there are no gaps? Like, have you thought about this? This?" And like, "Okay, yeah." And then I say, "What about this?" And they're like, "Oh, yes." And then they put in the user story, because even though I
Mm,
wasn't, I was just let them, talk, brainstorm. But obviously, I had a full backlog of my
right.
user stories. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely it helps because it really helps me to understand my product,
Mm,
understand the market, and actually like think in terms of how would the user interact with my business or my website or my solution. It helped me to really
exactly.
identify that even in terms of processes, right? Like what are the processes, what are the risks, what are the constraints. So that experience helped me to identify all that upfront for
Yeah,
business.
fantastic. Fantastic. So what, as a new business owner, in Canada, what are some challenges that you have faced so far? What are some challenges you faced?
Okay, the biggest one is doing it alone without the team.
Mm,
Um, because like here, if you're just if this is my side hustle, right? So I have
yeah.
a day job that really takes precedence, so I have to do it later in the day. And
Mm,
here, if you have to outsource some work to people, right? It's expensive. So sometimes you just have to do yourself because really, like, if you don't do yourself, you're going to pay a ton of money. So for me, it would be my capacity to
mm,
manage a business and giving my full focus is really challenging being on my own.
yeah.
And right now, what I'm thinking, what I try to do is I have to figure out the things that I need to outsource, so like things that I know I really can't do well myself, that are so
Exactly.
important, and then I have to pay for someone to do it for me because you can't make money if you don't
Right.
spend money, unfortunately. But I'm still being lean. Like I always try to still be lean and say as much as possible do it. Like I did my website myself from scratch.
Mm,
Even though I used Shopify, so it was easier to do. And the
yeah.
reason I didn't want someone to design a website for me because I'd like to control my processes at the start. Because what I
Right.
do is once I understand the process, and I can tell someone to do it, so that when they are telling me stories, I know whether they're telling me the right thing or not, right? So what
Right.
I did, I did my website myself. I integrated a marketplace recently to it, where I'm
Mm,
actually rewriting some of the code as much as I can, but I'm hitting a snag. And at that point in time, where I am right now, I realize I need a tech person. I now
yeah.
know I'm at that point
Right.
where I need someone to come and
Mm-hmm.
do it. So it's really doing it alone with very little cash. But I'll say even any good country in the world to launch a business is Canada because there are resources out there that really can help. And so I'm really trying to get like any grants or any government funding that don't require me taking a loan so that I can keep growing the business.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you for sharing. So thank you so much, Tina, for your contributions. I see them. Thank you so much. So Oyeomi is asking, he said, Pamela, for one not having BA experience and having been doing routine accounting functions per se for over 10 years, how can one translate and relate it to gain BA roles or opportunities? How does one get started, really? Mm,
Yeah, good question. So for me would be first of all is I would always say and do a gap analysis. And that's the truth. Like ask yourself what you've done today and what a BA does. Like
right.
do an assessment critically, like critically and tell yourself like do where are there gaps? Because I even did it for myself, even though I had been in this function for a long time. Like, where are there gaps? Where do I have weaknesses? Right. And then two, you need to determine the kind of BA you want to be, right? There are so many kinds of BA because if you've been accounting and you enter technology, it will be a bit of a challenge for you. And I tell people that as a BA, you are not just a doer, you are also someone who influences, someone who consults, someone who recommends. You need to ask yourself those questions because you're not going to be learning, except you're going for maybe a junior BA role, right? But you're going for like senior BA roles or intermediate BA roles, then you have to ask yourself, like, do I really, really have what it takes to
Yeah.
do this role? Once you
Right.
can, if you really answer yes or no, because there's some people who are in accounting who can do the BA role because maybe the accounting functions have exposed them to business analysis already. I'll give an
Exactly.
example. When I was working at Fidelity Bank in Nigeria, we were on a lot of projects, and so even the back office guys who are in operations, a lot of them is been projects, right, with us. So they understand end to end
Yeah,
requirements. You understand when we're developing, because they get pulled in to test. They understand what UATs are. They understand those things. They know how to do pilots. Like they might not be like the actual people performing all those things, but they have that experience. So they
right,
get it right. But of course, they are not fully baked beings. But what they could do might be to do a quick course and then they're on track. But
right.
my usual advice to someone who is coming into business analysis really fresh without the experience would be,
Mm,
if you have 8 months to go to a college
mm,
and get the right degree, it's fine.
yeah,
But if you do just have some translatable experience, you can do with a quick crash course, two like a 2 month, 6 weeks, or 8 week course. Because what you're just trying to do is really to bring that knowledge you already have together. So those kind of people are big for those kind of courses. But if they're very, very fresh and you feel like, no, I don't think a 6 week course or a 2 months course will give me what I want, then you might go that route. So it really depends on what your analysis of where your experience is aligns, and that will
mm,
determine the way you go. I find that some people do a 6 week course, just sit down, really, really laser focused, and they're able to translate their previous experience into what it takes to be a BA, and they are fine. Because the truth is that no matter what you learn, you only still learn by doing. You only still learn when you get on the job, right? But of course, the courses you do prior to that would also give you some information to go in there and start to build. And I can see that um, Tina said find a mentor. I agree. Before I moved, I had this mentor. He's a senior BA. He used to be in RBC, but he's moved. I think he's in CIBC too. And I he was my mentor for 6 weeks when I was doing the triac program. I'm sure you know the triac program, you know. So I did the
yeah.
triac program. I was assigned a mentor, and I took it so seriously. Like it was, I don't like I took this thing so seriously. Like you would think I hadn't gone to school. I was,
Well,
I was so
that's you,
serious.
Pamela. You're very driven. So,
I'm very like I was very laser focused, right? I was like, you know what? They said there's a mentor. I'm going to use the mentor really
like,
well,
get everything.
really, really well.
You
Like I
should be
used him
training.
so well. When I met up with him in Canada, he said, Pam, you know what? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that you got all this job. Like I had different mentees. They were not serious. Like you took it very seriously. You did everything.
Yeah,
Like even though there were times you were frustrated, but you came back every single time. All the exercises I gave, like change your resume. Like you come, like there are times they will say your resume it's not well presented. Like I'll literally sit down and want to shed tears. Like I'm like, oh my god, I'm just tired. They've reviewed it in 6 times. But I will tell you that when I entered Canada with that resume and I sent it to Bola Adeshokwe, we met
yeah.
randomly. I sent my resume. I said, hey, look at my resume. What do you think I need to change? He got sent me a message. I said, how? Who did this resume for you? I was like, I did myself. I was like, I can't like your resume is so amazing. Like you don't have a problem. Like I can't say there's nothing I can tell you to add into this resume. It's great.
Right,
It's just go and keep looking for the jobs. So yeah,
right.
mentors. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely having someone to guide you, and your mentor helped you, guided you, corrected you, and helped set you on that path because you know you arrived with a resume that was done. You already knew some things. He gave you tips and strategies that you were going to be using, and some people that arrive, and that's when they now start the process. And I tell people, there's nothing like arriving prepared, doing a gap analysis, knowing the things you need to get done. Do I need to take a course? Do I need to get some certifications? Do I need someone to start mentoring and guiding me to have my resume done right? So that when I arrive, it's people would say, "Oh, how did you do it so fast?" Right? I have people say, "Oh, how are you able to?" But the truth is, it's been like ongoing, like work in progress. Like you
Yeah,
said, late night the late nights,
yeah.
the traveling out and arriving at 12 midnight just to take an
Oh
exam,
my
like
god.
all those things. It's the work in progress and all the
I,
things
I,
you've
I,
been doing.
yeah, I find this with like most of my friends that I see that have gotten into roles that like almost really quick.
Yeah.
This always, there's almost no, like, luck. There's luck, but the luck is like, do you really want to leave such an important thing to chance when you could
Right.
stack your odds for success? Like, I find that most of my friends who have gotten to those positions, you hear people saying like, "Oh my god, like you're taking it too seriously, like you're reading, like you're always awake all night, you're calling people, you're networking. It's not that serious. Like, chill." And they're
Yeah.
like, "No, man, I want to chill when I get the job. when I
Right. I'm true when I get the job. Seriously.
when I
I
get
also
the
have
job,
people say, why
chill."
are you always awake? Because I'm looking for a job, right? I'm applying, and I'm putting in the work,
Yeah,
and I'm focused, and I'm studying, and I'm doing everything possible. I'm sacrificing, right? I'm doing the uncomfortable things so that I can become comfortable. And the truth is, something has to give. Your time, your money, that's investment. When we say, oh, invest in yourself, it's not always money. Sometimes it's just the time. The time you rather be, watching Netflix, you're studying, or you're networking, or you're working on your resume, for hours to get it
I
right.
will. Yeah, I will share something. I paid for Lauren Brandenburg's course, even as a BA, for 1,500 Canadian
Mm-hmm.
dollars. I paid
Yeah.
for that course, like, even after the CBAP, like I paid a thousand.
Because you
So
never
when
stop. You never stop improving
you
yourself.
stop,
Never.
exactly, because when I hear people say, "Oh no, I can't pay. Why would I pay 2K for this?" And I'm like, you can't get, if you want anything that is free is not worth it. Like, you're not going to take it seriously, then, and
Exactly.
someone really can't give you something free that is valuable. But if I'm going to give you something that is valuable and expensive, best believe that it's going to give you the value that you
The
want.
value that you want. Exactly. Exactly. And the truth is that value translates into, your career growth, into your compensation, your earnings, into your confidence at work, into your how you're perceived. That value translates into so many things, and it opens up other opportunities for you. It's a ripple effect, like you said, the things you did way before you arrived, and you're seeing the effects now.
Yeah, and you know what I want to tell people? Like, someone's like, "Hey, how did you do get into become a project manager without PMP?" I said, "Well, that's your answer right there. Like, you're asking again. Like, there's a P. I'm a project manager without PMP.
I
I
lost
think
you for a minute there.
yeah, for a second. Yes. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's the thing. Like, you need to do, like, and I'll tell you something. Like I said, I did apply for the job I got, the project manager job. My resume that got to the company was a BA resume, or senior BA
Yeah.
resume.
Exactly.
A senior
Yeah.
BA resume. I went in there, I was interviewed, I was asked all the questions. Funny thing was, actually, like, there were two roles that I was being considered for. I just took one over the other. One was a product manager role. One was a project manager role. The other project manager. I gravitated towards the project manager role for personal reasons. Anyway, so, like, apply yourself, be confident. Like, you need to have, I
Exactly.
would say, all the qualifications. People less qualified than you, with less experience,
Exactly.
who do things to less experience than you, but they're in roles that you want because they believe they could, and they took
They
it.
believe they could, and they went ahead and got it. You
And
already have experience working on projects. So what stops you from managing projects really
exactly,
without
just take it and start to do
PMP?
it.
Yeah. I mean, something we did for over 10 years. Why can't I just take on the role? I don't need to have that PMP. There's people who have 3 years or 4 years experience and they got the PMP. I have,
Yep.
experience doing it for 10 years. Well, I can do the job as well. It's simple, right? I
a-
believe I can
a-
and I do it. And I
Absolutely
do.
right. Like, it's all you, nobody else. Like, it's not what they tell you. It's not, no matter what anybody tells you, it's you. Like, if you believe you can do it, go
Yeah.
do it. Because no one's going to do the job for you. You are
Right.
still going to do the job yourself.
Right, that's true. That's true. And that's the truth. Like no matter how much coaching or teaching or learning or you know hours on YouTube, Udemy, and LinkedIn Learning and all that stuff, like you gain all of that, but at the end of the day, it's all about your confidence too. Can I really go in and do the job? Can I help this company solve their problems? Right? Can I stand up to say, and like you said, I'm a payment professional. There's nothing about debit cards and credit cards, anything related to cards and payments that I can't help or fix or solve or provide some advisory. Right? That's the confidence that we all need to apply to our lives and our careers, and you're embodying it, Pamela.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Your journey has been amazing, and sharing your experience and your journey so far. What's your advice to people, to your mom, you're a career woman, and then you started your own business, and that's like you've been pulled in several directions. What's your advice to other moms and career women that are about to move to Canada, or they're new here and they also have lofty dreams, they have these goals, they want to achieve all these things? What's your advice to them so far based on your journey anyways?
Great question. So I think from like women have it really hard, right? Because there's just you have to do it very well everywhere. Like you expect you to have a great career and still be a great mom, right? And still be a great everything, and then still hold you to different standards than the men. Like if you're very out there, then you're too out there. But there's nothing like it. So 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 for me, what I tell moms is be true to yourself, right? And the thing is that I made sure I had my kids, like, I was like, you know what, I just want to have these children and then focus
Mhm.
on me forever.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
focusing on them, right? And so I made sure that kids were done. Um, hap- Thankfully, hopefully, no more kids for the rest of my life. And so for, so for me, I tell moms is you need to have some time management. You also need to know what makes you happy, right? And you
Mhm.
need to plan. When I was
Right.
studying my master's, I said to myself, how am I going to cope? Full-time job, project manager, all sorts of things. And now a master's, 1 year master's that was
Mhm.
condensed. I did 5 courses for the first 5 months, which was very,
Wow. Wow.
very tense. And
Wow.
so what I would tell them is, what do you want to achieve? Because you are the standard for your children. My mom
Hmm.
was standard for me. She
Right.
been there, done that, achieved, and she's still achieving. And so when my mom
Right.
tells me now, "Oh, I'm so proud of you. You're doing so many things. Oh my God, my first child." And I say, "But I learned it from you. I saw you
Right.
doing all that. I saw you achieving. I saw you get all the
Right.
awards. I even told her, like, I don't even think I'm as good as you are, because like you've been such a mentor, you are a community builder, you got the awards, you've been president of like some organizations that are known worldwide and all that. So I'm still trying
Yeah.
to be like learn from you, because I had a strong mother who had
Right.
5 kids. I just have three. She had five, and she did all these things. So for me, what I looked up to her and I said to myself, I'm doing this because I'm the first role model that these children would see, because
Fantastic.
I want to build I want them to look inside the family and
Mm.
see someone they want to be like, instead of looking outside. The outside role models are a plus, right?
Mm.
And so what I'll tell mothers is, be true to yourself. It's going to be hard. You need to plan. Anyway, sometimes there's some things you can't do. Like I gave up 1 year when I moved to Canada not to do my master's, because frankly, it would have been too much. It would have taken me away from my children. And I'll tell
Mm.
you the truth, I turned down a big job offer because of my children the year I
Right.
moved. I was going to do a really long trip every day. Um, and my kids were small then. And I turned down this job offer, and I haven't gotten that good a job offer again. But
Yeah.
hopefully I get it, right? But I did that for my children. But at that time I had my reasons, right? And of course, like now that my kids are big grown, that I'll be able to take on more responsibility because my children are a bit more slightly more independent, and I have maybe a few more hours to myself to do stuff, right?
Right.
So for mothers, is yes. So understand where you are in your life, how little your kids are, how grown they are, and then plan your time accordingly. And when I
Mm,
mean plan your time accordingly, say give yourself time to achieve certain things. Like say, make it time box. 1 year, 6 months, 2 years. Don't leave it
right.
open end. Okay, just make it really time box so that because when you have that time box, you're able to plan your resources, allocate them well around you to help you achieve these things. But always remember that you're going to be a role model to your children, and
Right.
what kind of mother do you really want to be for them, not just as a mom, but also as their first maybe career mentor. So
Right. Fantastic. Fantastic. And then on a final note, what's your advice for, immigrants who are moving to Canada, who want to get into BA roles and PM roles and um they're sort of worried, that, can I really do it? Is it possible? But they see someone like you, Pamela, and you've done both. And they're saying maybe there's something different. Maybe it's because she has that master's. Maybe that's why. How people would think,
yeah.
right? But what's your advice for, immigrants who are moving to Canada, just like you did 2 years ago, who want to get into, BA roles or PM roles, or even just getting back in their professional roles without having to go start from an entry level role or anything like that? What's your advice for these people?
So I would say, it really depends on personality, right? So but some of the things that whether your personality is out there or not is start early.
Mm,
Don't wait until you arrive. I didn't wait until I arrived because I said to myself, I had help with my kids, so I have more time to read. And I realized that once I moved here, there was no help with children. So my time to read would have been very, very non-existent. It would mean I'll be born in the midnight. So I made sure like I was very focused. I said, CBAP, I write it only once. And that was it. I was like, once. And so I read. I went there, wrote, thank God I passed. Same thing I did for my IELTS. And when I did my IELTS, my daughter was 5 months and nobody was touching my child. I would go to, when I drop her with the nanny, when I'm back, my nanny goes home. I'm the one who takes care of my daughter. And I had two
mm,
other younger kids. And I said, well, but at least I have nannies that help. I can't
mm,
write the exam 2 times. It's just going
right,
to be one. And I was running a business and I was still a banker in Nigeria, which was tough. And
right.
I was tough. And so when people tell me, they give me all these reasons, oh my job, oh my children. I said, okay, can I add one more thing to your list of excuses? I was running a business on
Right.
top of the same banking job that you're doing. I had a 5-month-old daughter in addition to
Mm,
two other children. But I did it because I said this was the outcomes. So I'll say always start early. Start early before you move. When you come here, you're going to be under pressure. If you're coming with a lot of money, maybe. If you're not coming with a lot of money, your money will go quick if you don't have a
right.
job. Start early. As much as possible, network on LinkedIn. Reach out to people on LinkedIn or wherever. Join any immigrants groups that make sense. I will always say like if you can enroll with any of the employment consultants, they are great because they give you access not just because they won't give you access to anything that is specific for the BA and the project manager thing, right? Because but
Yeah.
remember that like soft skills, right? Your soft skills are so important.
Very,
So
very important.
all the soft skills, how to present yourself, how to go for a networking meeting, start early. The next thing would be start to envision the kind of person you want to be. Like it's the power of vision.
Yeah,
Like
and you're
I
right.
know that the like look at she envisioned herself like this, and that's why she's there.
Yeah.
I envision myself coming here, getting this job, starting my business. I also still have other visions that I plan. I'm not going to share when I
Of
get them. I'll say I visioned it. But no,
typical
no, yeah,
Pamela.
I just I visioned it. But I'm not saying it now. I'm not going to say it now, right now. But envision. I'm telling you, like visions are so important. I have a vision board in
Mm,
front of my bed, and
yeah.
there are 15 things on that vision board. 5 of them are done
Mm-hmm.
already from
I
two
love
months ago.
vision boards. I love vision boards. When I put
Yeah.
anything there, it happens. It just happens.
Yes.
Because I see it every morning.
So have a vision. You can have a vision board or whatever. If you're not comfortable with vision
Yeah.
board, have a vision, because it always you work towards it. So
Yeah.
networking, prepare early, do a gap assessment of your skills and identify the things you need to do. Don't
Right.
sugarcoat it. I always say to you that very few successes happen by happy accidents.
Mm.
Most successful people stack their odds toward being successful by planning, having
Planning.
vision. And the thing about a vision is that you develop a strategy to achieve.
Hmm.
And so, would you leave one of the most important decisions of your life to accident? I wouldn't,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't.
Right, right, absolutely. And something that you said earlier is, you like you said you were doing a lot of all these things, studying, get your certification, and your dad asked you all these things you're doing, but you said, I'm doing all these things, I'm preparing and positioning myself for when that opportunity comes. And it did come, and you were prepared, you were ready, had a great resume, you're gotten your certifications, you had your experience, and you knew how to channel all that to even get a role that people would never think, oh, she wouldn't get it because she doesn't even have the PMP or whatever. But you're able to get it. And then you've gotten your master's, which was part of your vision. So I really love envisioning. It's so, so key. Thank you so much, Pamela. It's been amazing having you here. And everyone that joined us, Tina, thank you so much for your contributions.
Thank you.
I'm grateful that you joined us and you were very you're very active and sharing your thoughts as well. So to everyone who joined us, thank you so so much, Pamela. It's been great having you and you sharing your success story with us and the things that have helped you so far. And I know that people who see this or hear you are going to learn a couple of things from you and are going to be able to also translate this into their own journeys. So from me, it's bye. Thank you so much, Pamela.
Thank you. It was really amazing coming on your show, and congratulations on your RBC award. That was so exciting and it's just amazing. Like
Thank
all
you.
the hard work you've put in, like see what's happening. Like that's it.
Right,
Hard
right,
work, all that hard work and everything, like Canada noticed.
right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pamela. So to everyone
Uh,
who's joining, have a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you and take care. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.